right, good evening, everyone. Thank you, everyone in the audience who showed up, and thank you for those at home viewing. We are going to review the sewer policy public discussion this evening. This evening in attendance is Commissioner Demko and Commissioner Salerno. I am the chair. Commissioner Monahan had a last-minute obligation and was unable to attend. So over the last approximately 6 months, we've started on a journey to change the policy for sewer as we know it. For sewering, for the way the boards work with one another, and just making sure that line of communication is completely open and that all of our policies and any legislation that has been done all speaks to one another in a cohesive manner. We've worked so far with various boards, getting some input. We've asked for members of our community to give us input. We've worked with our Director of Community Planning, our town real estate attorney, our administrator, Liz, has also worked on this, as well as a number of other people. So we want to thank them very much for the work they've done. A lot of this is volunteer, and we do appreciate it. So the topics to be discussed at this evening's meeting are going to be, to start off, Commissioner Demko is going to give us a history of the Sewer Commission. Then he is going to get into the little bit about our sewer districts. We have 3 sewer districts. And finally, we're going to end up with some of the policy changes, our proposed policy changes, and just ideas we have moving forward to make things more efficient and, again, work with our boards in a more cohesive manner. After that, we'll open it up for the public for any questions or comments. That's me.
Do you want me to?
I got it. I can get, oh yeah, okay.
Okay, because
that's it,
it's hard
okay.
to talk and without routine. Can you do that?
I got it. I think I can get it. Yeah, thank you. So we'll end it with input from our community members, other board members, and then we will take all that information back and we'll start really putting this all together in a comprehensive manner. So before I get going, is there any questions from anyone before we start? Okay. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Demko, who's going to give us a brief history of the Sewer Commission.
Thank you, Michael. History of the Hingham Sewer Commission. The commission organization, the commission body is comprised of 3 elected commissioners with office administrator and part-time clerk, originally located in the town hall at 210 Central Street. Other full-time staff includes a supervisor, a pump station operator, and 2 maintenance mechanics. Commission creation and authority. Hingham Sewer Commission was established by a combination of town meeting warrant article and an act of Massachusetts State Legislature in 1946. The 1946 town meeting voted that a board of 3 commissioners be elected on the ballot of the 1947 town election. The powers of the commission are set forth in Chapter 82 of Acts 1946. These powers include to take by eminent domain or acquire by purchase or otherwise lands and easements for the purpose of constructing sewers, entering upon any private land or public land for the purpose of laying sewers or installing pumping stations and maintaining and repairing the same, to appoint a clerk and superintendent of sewers, enter into a contract so long as they are not in excess of the amount appropriate thereof, prescribe rules and regulations for the connection to the sewer subject to public notice prior to such rules and regulations taking effect. Certain provisions of the Massachusetts general laws, particularly under Chapter 83, also apply to certain actions of the commissions, particularly with respect to betterments. Thereafter, in 2011, a warrant article was submitted and approved relative to consolidation contracts for outsourcing the maintenance of the sewer department facilities by the DPW. The contract is under jurisdiction of the commission, town administrator, selectmen. In addition, the contract is provision for a yearly review period of any contract dispute of validity, which shall be addressed initially by the town administrator acting in the role of mediator. If mediation is unsuccessful, the matter shall be brought before a joint meeting of Commission and Selectmen for resolution. The Sewer Commission policy is presently governed under the Commonwealth of Massachusetts DEP, EPA, and Hingham Commission standards for residential and commercial properties. In addition, the Hingham Sewer Commission policy is being currently amended and updated by Town Council, Town Planning, and Sewer Commission, which will be available online for residents and business to review for future service and connection to our sewer system. Overview of the sewer districts. The sewer facilities consist of the, do we have a picture, a map there?
Yeah, that one has all,
The sewer facilities consist of the north, now known as the Hingham Sewer District, which was changed in 1980, serviced by the MWRA, and the Weir River Sewer District serviced through the town of Hull with an intermunicipal agreement. Our sewer system serves an estimated 35% of Hingham residential and commercial properties, which are fed by gravity or force main systems. The system has 13 pump stations with main discharge estimated 9% handled from Broad Cove Station and remainder by Bradley Woods, Beals Cove, and Hingham Shipyard. Miscellaneous flow information. Shipyard Drive, privately owned and maintained station pumps to Route 3A force main adjacent to MWRA. Beals Cove Road, privately owned and maintained station pumps to MWRA. Hockley Drive goes to MWRA through Beals Cove Condo Station. Tucker's Lane goes to MWRA through Beals Cove Condo Station. Talbot Drive goes to Route 3A Force Main. William P. Perry Drive goes to 3A Force Main. Union Street, Wampatuck State Park, privately owned and maintained station located at the main entrance gatehouse, goes through the main on Central Street to South Street Pump Station. Hingham High School goes through the main on Central Street to South Street Pump Station. Hingham Town Hall pumps into the main on Central Street to South Street Pump Station. In addition, town has recently purchased 18 acres for construction of a sewer treatment plant to service business at South Hingham Industrial Park and possible future failed residential or business treatment systems. The development was brought to my attention by a commission chairman who inquired if I had any comments to be submitted to him before a concept wastewater management meeting, which was forthcoming. My thought initially was to see if we could tie into the town of Weymouth for the development of South Industrial Park, thus increase our town tax infrastructure. However, the costly infrastructure buy-in estimated at $7 million is considered excessive. Thereafter, the Mass Highway Department of Transportation was granted a fund for infrastructure construction. Through a combined effort of local town governments and legislatures, they brought forth initial development of South Hingham Industrial Park, South Shore Hospital Bone and Muscle Center. The facility development has created 300 new jobs and brings an estimated $300,000 annual new tax revenue to the town of Hingham. It is estimated upon completion of the industrial park, 70 parcels for development of business, which could bring in an estimated additional $8 to $10 million revenue to the town of Hingham within the next 10 years. Yeah.
Did I miss that? All right. So, thank you, Commissioner Demko. So, as we spoke, we do have a few proposed initiatives at this time. And those proposed initiatives to be consolidation of existing special acts and policies into a comprehensive document, which we'd update as necessary, to develop an application process for the future requests for sewer expansion projects, including addressing the role of other town boards and the 1983 lost provisions, develop sewer betterment calculation policy, the desirability of a senior circuit breaker, and the discussion of a sewer bill payment schedule. First, the consolidation of existing laws and policies, all applicable, and special acts and past town meeting approvals will be made online to the public if they haven't been already. We have started to formulate these, and we're going to be putting them into a comprehensive manner so we can be looking them up. in an easy way that makes it more user-friendly for the public. Existing policies will be consolidated into one document that is clearly organized. Existing laws and policies will be reviewed on an ongoing basis to determine if revisions and updates are necessary. It's been approximately 70 years that the Sewer Commission has been established, sewers have been established. And as we know, it's a three-member board that is elected every 3 years for a 3-year term. So there's been many boards over the years, and while we've tried to have those boards really talk to one another and understand the history, as it gets further and further out, some of it becomes not so comprehensive in a manner that is user-friendly to the public. So that's what we're working on there with the consolidation. Sewer extension projects. The Commission will discuss development of a policy for requested extensions of existing sewer districts, in particular the Hingham/North Sewer District. Any proposed policy should include a detailed application and submission requirement, require input from other town boards, in particular the Board of Health, the Planning Board, and the Planning Board, prior to application submission. Criteria for commission review, we would put together some criteria for commission review of such applications. The Sewer Appropriations Bylaw, Article 23, General Bylaw, Article 23. Adopted in 1983 and amended in 2013, it currently reads, Section 1, any article in the warrant for a regular or special town meeting which involves the expenditure or appropriation of money for the laying out, construction, making, and/or maintaining a system of main drains and common sewers within the town of Hingham shall include the following information in the body of the article or in the motion under the article, printed in the advisory committee report or provided by the advisory committee as a printed document to be furnished to voters at said regular or special town meeting. A complete list of streets, roads, ways, or portions thereof in which there is to be the layout, construction, or making of a system of main drains and common sewers. B, a financial impact statement, including the total estimated cost of the project, the estimated property tax impact per $1,000 of assessment for each and every year funds are expended or repayments are being made on borrowing for said project, the estimated rate of assessment upon the owners of the land to be bettered based on the method of assessment voted by the town and allowed by Massachusetts general laws. A little bit about the lost 1983 bylaw provision. The 1983 warrant article, as voted by the town meeting, had included the following: a statement by the Board of Health indicating the condition and need for said project, which statement shall be based upon a survey of the streets to be sewered, which survey shall be conducted in accordance with procedures adopted from time to time by the said Board of Health. And D, such other information as the Board of Sewer Commissioners or Advisory Committee deems appropriate. These provisions were not submitted to the Attorney General for approval in after the 1983 town meeting, and therefore are not in effect. A little bit about the review of the sewer appropriation bylaw. In connection with the sewer extension application policy discussion, the Commission will review the existing provisions in effect, along with the lost provisions, and determine whether modifications should be proposed for future town meeting consideration. In doing so, we will make sure that we're reaching out to, first and foremost, the Board of Health to work directly with them on this, as well as other boards like the Planning Board and Conservation Commission that are going to have input on this and may be affected by it. Betterment calculation policy. Under the Massachusetts general laws, the town must determine which method of betterment will apply to a particular project. The most common methods are known as the frontage method and the uniform unit method. Betterments may also be determined by area of parcel or by a combination of frontage and area. Frontage method betterments are based on the length of each benefited parcel frontage and may be calculated on a rate per foot of frontage. Unit method betterments are typically calculated in sewer units based on the zoning of the parcels. Calculations are by a formula to be established by the town, starting with the state law assumption that one sewer unit equal one single-family residence. The Commission will be discussing the development of a policy for determining sewer units for various uses, including multifamily, commercial, and industrial uses. In addition to the foregoing topics, the Commission is also interested in public input on the following areas. A circuit breaker legislation that would create a rate work-off program similar to the one in place for real estate taxes. Also, a sewer rate billing cycle. Currently, it is twice a year. The Commission is seeking input from all ratepayers on the desirability of a quarterly billing cycle. In reviewing the feasibility of the above initiatives, the Commission will look at the cost impacts that may result from either change. In conclusion, we will be having further meetings, and we will be posting those sooner rather than later. The Sewer Commission can be contacted and does encourage all other board members and concerned members of the community by mail to the Hingham Sewer Commission, 25 Bear Cove Park Drive, Hingham, Massachusetts, or by email to sewercommission, SEWERCOMMISSION, at hingham-ma.gov. At this point, I would like to open it up to residents and other board members for input. Thank you. Anyone have any?
On the quarterly, I looked into 10 towns, and out of the 10, 9 had quarterly billing.
Yeah, so I think that's,
I can give you the towns including Burlington, City of Lynn, Town of Norwood, Town of Wilmington, Town of Brookline, Town of Dedham, Town of Weymouth, Town of Holbrook, Town of Stoughton, and Town of Braintree.
I think between that and the circuit breaker, that's exactly what we'll be studying, is other communities in the area that are doing it. It hasn't been successful. What cost implications have there been? And is there a need for the community? So I think we'd encourage direct input from the community on that.
Yeah, the input that I'm getting is people that are retired, if they get a bill for $800, if you break it down quarterly, it's a lot easier for them to make the payments, you know.
Yeah.
It's getting hit with a big bill.
So I think at this time, we're not here for deliberation, so
No,
we do want to, I appreciate the input by all means, but just so the public is aware, we aren't here for deliberation, but we certainly are here for input and any thoughts or ideas you may have. Is there anyone from the public that would like to come to the microphone and express any interest, ideas, thoughts?
You have so many talented
Yeah.
people here. They're not getting up here.
Overflow crowd.
I will call it I hope I'm just breaking the ice and other people will talk. Hi, I'm Buzz Constable, and I'm an EVP at A.W. Perry, and I'm not a Hingham resident, but our shareholders who are Hingham residents don't like to come out at night, so they send me up to say hi. Anyway, and I am the developer who did Two Pond Park, and we have several buildings within the South Shore Park. We're the predominant owner in the South Shore Park, and we own over on the Hingham side, several buildings which are currently, I think all of the ones that are over there are currently sewered through the Rockland Sewer Commission, and that's really permitted development of Hingham taxable property in that end of town. It's also pretty clear that that's not going to ever happen again after the Blue Cross Blue Shield. The policies of both the Abington Rockland Water Company and the Rockland Sewer Committee would suggest that they're pretty much at capacity and would be unlikely to go further. As you may know, Aquarian has a capital has just unveiled a capital planning program to provide sewer and moreover pressure to the other side of Route 3 and to the Bristol property across from the Derby Street shops. Both of those, that will reduce one of the limiting factors to additional tax growth in South Hingham. A second is the transportation situation, and Roger Fernandez and the town is actively working on improving Derby Street, and the state has finally decided to pay attention to that after we kicked them for the intersection light at Pond Park and Derby Street. They're now looking at it more comprehensively. That's the second limiting factor, and sewer wastewater capacity is the third limiting factor. So we are enthusiastic about your looking at this. As we all know, the town, Roger and Ted and others, have been looking at a sewer system. I would urge that you not only have all the boards you talked about, but the Hingham Industrial Development Commission has been very active in this. I'd put them on the list of people you'd include for the conversations. And although the South Shore Park does not have a formal organization, Mary and others who've been working on 43D, a regulatory program of the state to encourage permit streamlining, has helped us come together. And so the owners in the South Shore Park, of which there are approximately 40, I think are more in a position to work with you now. And so I would urge you to talk to us. We are enthusiastic about eliminating all the limits to growth in that area, and also concerned about the way it's done, in a way to have it be done equitably and not only fairly, but also in a way that makes economic sense for all of those people who are there. Many of the owners in the South Shore Park, including some of our buildings, but obviously not Two Pond Park, are old buildings. They were built in the 70s. They're 20,000-foot buildings which are beyond their time, and they all have septic systems which may or may not be working. Finding a way to provide sewer clearly improves the capacity, clearly improves the taxable nature, but there are many owners who will not have a lot of enthusiasm for paying a betterment on which they can't realize any increased value. If you put that in concert with any discussion of tax classification in Hingham, which is now underway as well, and I would say that private owners are happy to work with you as well.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Constable. I would encourage that board. I'm not quite familiar with them.
The historic,
Yes, okay, I am familiar with them. Yeah, I will make sure I reach out to Sue and others on that board.
She's talking to her all the time.
I'll do anything you like.
Okay, thank you. Sue's not shy anyways. I would think Sue would want to reach out to us. Is there anyone else who has any input?
Liz got something submitted today for the record, right? Didn't you get her? I just think you need to know for the record that you have submissions today.
Well, I submitted it back in July. Followed up today.
The proposed wastewater policy for the town.
Thank you.
Comprehensive wastewater management policy.
I think it's proposed changes, Dr. Schultz, to that you would like to see happen.
I can speak to it if you like.
Would you like to? Would love for you to stand up.
We're in a public hearing.
Yes, right. Waste up. We just told me we're a collared shirt today. Kirk Schultz, member of the Hingham Board of Health, and also the Hingham Comprehensive Wastewater Management Committee, which I'm the only person that's been on since its inception. I submitted back in, let me back up a little bit. One of the things that I discovered on being on the Comprehensive Wastewater Management Committee for the entire time was just how much that any one committee doesn't know. And so it was the comprehensive nature of that, where all the committees get together in one room. Michael, you were there for a number of the meetings, having conservation, planning, the selectmen, water supply, water, board of health, conservation, I think I mentioned them. That I learned things that I didn't know about, that these other boards have perspective of, that from the Board of Health perspective, that I was a member of the board, I was the elected appointee for the Board of Health, was enlightening to me. And so going through that process, I was helpful with Katie Lacey in putting together the Comprehensive Wastewater Management Plan, in which we wrote the last 2 sections, one of them with Matt MacGyver. And the last section is about going through with sewer policies and establishing a mechanism for updating these policies, because we wanted to have the plan, a living document. So as things change in the town, we wouldn't be stagnant. We would have a roadmap in which to look at in order to make changes that we hadn't thought about over time in order to serve the needs of the town. What came up during our, let's say, 2004 to 2012, during our 6 years, was the proposal to put in the sewer district for the South Shore Industrial Park region. And that was something that we on the Board of Health had known. There was some weaknesses as far as the soils up there. And so from the perspective of the business development, what the selectmen brought to it, especially John Riley, that we looked at it differently. Instead of just looking at failed sewer systems, well, what about something we can do to promote the town using this tool of sewers in this area that we typically wouldn't have looked at just looking at it from the needs perspective from the Board of Health. And from that, wonderfully, we went through a town meeting, and we now have a South Industrial Sewer Park District. I'm not sure of the exact name of it, South District. That is close. And what is unique about that was the committee, the Comprehensive Wastewater Management Committee, put the criteria of business development first with looking at that particular sewer development, which is wonderful because it's all commercial in that area. And it should be treated differently than the other 2 regions. So when we look at the North Sewer District and the Ware River Sewer District, well, the North encompasses both business and residential, the Ware all residential. There are different needs there. And the aspect of looking at our water supply and the effect of sewer and the dewatering of our watershed, that was something that none of us really thought about until we started to meet back in 2006. That perspective had never been really brought into it. And also the effect of zoning. And I remember with Gary Torndorf-Dick saying that the effect of sewer policy on zoning is the strongest association between 2 different board entities and perspectives that you could have. And a lot of people use sewering for zoning purposes, for good or for bad. My perspective on the Board of Health, we look at it from the region, does this area require something other than in the ground septic systems? Because we know a septic system is the best system, because if something goes wrong, you have a single problem. Where sewer, if something goes wrong, like we saw in Hull, you have, this past winter, you have a huge problem. And so in the Ware River District, geez, the risk outweighed, or the benefit outweighed the risk. And so sewers were brought in there because we had a number of failures in that residential zone. But again, when we looked at it from the Board of Health, is that something that we're promoting? Of course we are, in that Ware River. So what we've seen lately, and being on the committee for a number of years, are people that approach the Sewer Commission and other boards looking to expand sewer, not from the Board of Health perspective, more so from the planning perspective and the business development perspective. And so my understanding is well, why don't we look at this in a comprehensive manner, the way we did it with our comprehensive wastewater master planning committee. It worked fabulous. We don't look at it just from one group or the other, but all of us come together. And that's what I wrote. I put together a 3-page document for you. And it addresses the lost policies. The lost policy was principally with the Board of Health. Of the 15 criteria that the Comprehensive Wastewater Management Committee look at, 14 of them deal with the Board of Health. The 15th is that business. But that's a really important one, as we see from this particular district there. So my recommendation is when you go through and rewrite that bylaw, and that bylaw is for the advisory committee, but they get all the material there to educate town meeting in a comprehensive manner about the full perspective. That bylaw isn't for the town. The sewer policies are with you guys, working in harmony with us, the other boards in the town, and the people. But the town meeting deserves that comprehensive look at the projects before they vote. And I can just tell you, 2 weeks ago, we're still getting people in to our board meeting, the Board of Health, worried about the Ship Cottage Street expansion and how it's affecting North Street. That was 2 weeks ago. And so that expansion, in my view, could have been handled differently. Now, we are prepared to speak at town meeting if asked about the Board of Health perspective on that particular project. We weren't asked, but we were prepared. And Mr. Kaplan wrote up a full assessment for that. Mr. Kaplan has done this sewer assessment in a number of towns, and he'll probably speak after myself, specifically in Stoughton, and how they do it there. But what I'm going to leave you with, and I'm going to sit down, is what I proposed and gave to you, and I believe I know I gave a copy to every town board that's affected: planning, selectmen, conservation, water supply, health, and yourselves. That this comprehensive viewpoint is essential. And that way, when you come together and everyone agrees, this is what we're going to do moving forward, you're not going to have people that are, well, you're less likely to have people down the road come in and still complain and say that the process didn't serve them well, as what we saw at this last town meeting, and unfortunately we're still seeing at our Board of Health meeting. So I provided it to you. It's all in written format. Hopefully you take a look at it. From what I heard today, it seems like you're going to endorse a great majority of that, so I'm pleased with that, and I appreciate the work that you guys are doing, and look forward to working together, just as we had with the fog regulations, that we hadn't seen you guys for a long, long time, but now it's working out really well because we work together.
Good.
Yeah. So I can answer questions later on, but I know Mr. Kaplan might speak a little bit about what they do in Stoughton, just as far as the sewer policies they have there, and how that might be helpful in our town, and maybe what he did for Ship and Cottage Street along those lines. So thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Schultz, and thank you for your input and passion. Clearly a lot of passion there, and in research, you've done some work, so thank you, appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Mr. Kapman.
Yes.
As the Executive Health Officer for the community, I have looked at the Ship and Cottage Street plans, and some of the factors that we take into consideration for ranking sewer need is things such as the geology of the site, the water table, the size of the lots, the age of the area, the ability to, is it a need or is it a want? Because we want water to go back into our groundwater system, which we get with septic. And if at all possible, we try to put them in safely and efficiently. But there are areas in town, such as World's End, that really need sewer. So if we go along with sewer policy, I would be prepared to submit a ranking or a recommendation to the sewer commission, to the town meeting, to evaluate it from an environmental standard, which would also include receptors such as the harbor, It's very good that we have sewer down in the harbor because of the water that surrounds it. World's End is certainly a good example because we have the harbor there, we have bedrock there, we have wetlands there. We do not have suitable soils to put septic systems in. I have one right now that's before me where they're looking to put the septic system in the roadway because there is absolutely no area on the lot that a system could go into. I've been working with Susan Murphy on this because it's in the 40 years that I've been doing public health, I've never had that type of situation come up. But it's either that or a tight tank, and we try to avoid tight tanks because it's an ongoing expense to the resident. Plus, in some instances, I've seen it abused because people don't want to pay the $300 or $400 that they might have to pay every time they have the system pumped, which would probably be every 2 weeks. And at night, we could find people getting rid of the overflow in other manners that we don't want to encourage, but money speaks. So we'd like to go with you and develop a comprehensive environmental ranking for considerations at town meeting for the expansion of sewers. The Weir Sewer District, again, that's almost identical in how we ranked the World's End. We have Bonnie Briar, which is all bedrock, high groundwater, it's right on the water, and marshes, and that was good to collect all that wastewater and bring it to a treatment facility in Hull. And we'd like to continue with those types of projects. But when we look at some of the ones, such as Cottage Street, Ship Street, we don't have a large volume of failures that have been brought to our attention. And the ones that we have had, have been able to easily replace with an efficient, safe septic system. The soils are good, the groundwater table is satisfactory, and we can restore the water back into the aquifer. So,
All right, thanks, Mr. Kaplan. Thank you for your comments, and thank you for your willingness to help. Is there anyone else who wanted to provide any input to the board? All right, so I would again like to stress to the public.
I think this got put on the website, on the town website.
Great, yeah. So thank you, Ms. Murphy. For reminding us, this PowerPoint presentation you've seen this evening will be on the Sewer Commission website, as well as you'll see more and more documents going on there. And our hope is to, or our intention is to have all of our documents by the time we have concluded this and developed this policy. I just want to remind the folks at home that they can send us any comments or thoughts they may have, again, to the Hingham Sewer Commission at 25 Bear Cove Park Drive in Hingham, or email us at sewercommission, all one word, at hingham-ma.gov. At this time, Commissioner Demko, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn the meeting.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.